Dashia D.
And it's JStan.
Welcome back to the In Retrospect podcast, where we look beyond the surface to find understanding.
Bring you laughs, knowledge, and culture.
So sit back, relax, and join the convo.
Today we'll be bringing in a special guest, better known as Junious, or Junie to those who are close to him. He is a smart brother, respectful brother, and he is a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, the coldest fraternity. My live father, my God. We'll be bringing you that knowledge today. So sit back, relax, and listen.
So you said something about a 4-day work week. I hadn't heard anything about it, honestly.
Yeah, it was something that's trying to be passed because the U.S. sees a lot of people in other countries that are adopting, or not adopting, they've already been using the 4-day work week, and it's been showing like a lot of great results as far as like work production, work morale, productivity, everything's up because they're only working 4 days out the week. And it's something that they're trying to transition to doing over here in the States. Me personally, I don't believe that's a great idea because because you got some companies that run 24/7. For them to transition to a 4-day work week would be very, 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 what's the word I'm looking for? Traumatic, abrupt. It would really jack up their money. Like, you know what I'm saying? These corporations over here, they don't have time to just work 4 days out the week. And it's crazy because what people don't realize is like, okay, yeah, we can go to 4 days. That's what y'all think. We're going to find somewhere else to go.
They can find a way. 4 weeks doesn't mean that the company has to be closed. It just means that their staff members have a 4-day week to work.
Yeah, you would think that, but you know how most companies work is that, okay, yeah, there's always a way around it. What's going to happen is, yeah, if they switch to that 4-day work week, more than likely what they're going to try to do is people being full-time will magically turn to part-time. Because they're not going to give you full-time benefits if you're not going to be there as much as they want you to be there. There's a lot of things that these companies do. What do you think, Jim?
Like, all right, if your job is telling you you have to come in 5 days a week, work 8 hours, possibly work overtime to accomplish something that can be done maybe by you in 3 days during the same amount of hours, well, if they consider that 5-day, 8-hour work week productivity, who's to say that you're not just as productive in 3 days and however many hours? So it's like, I feel like until workers or employees internalize, the fact that we're all bringing more to the table than we're giving ourselves credit for, those big names in the companies are going to continue to make decisions around what they consider is true or right. Like, for example, I've been remote. I work for a tech company in the finance department, and I've been remote now since COVID started. I've been remote now since COVID started, and we're talking about a group of people who, like I said, I work for a tech company, but I'm in the finance department, so the people I work most closely with don't look like the rest of the company per se, and we're talking about a group of people who before COVID, there's no way you could have convinced them that we couldn't do our jobs from an office in our living room or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then circumstances changed. People had different opinions. We tried it. We tested it out. We realized we could be just as productive from home. And, once everyone got on the same page, some of those big names had no choice but to, kind of buy in. Because what are you going to do if all of your workers are saying one thing and you're the only person saying, nah? You know what I mean? So I just feel like it's kind of a power move, like just realizing the fact that you have more power than you think you do.
I'm for it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I completely understand, but do you think that 4-day work week will make people want to actually work? Because I know you still got people right now that don't want to work right now.
But okay, so here's the thing: that whole mantra of like, I don't sleep, all I do is work, is crazy. Yeah. And that's the mindset that I feel like, but I feel like that's the mindset that a lot of us are in. And so going to his point of like, if you work all of these days and all of these hours, then surely you are just hustling. And that's not the case. if you have to overwork your mind and your body, 9 times out of 10, when you go to work, you on YouTube, you on IG, you on Snapchat, taking videos in the meetings, you're not productive. You're not paying attention. You get so sidetracked because you are burnt out. And so I feel like there has to be some kind of balance. So in my opinion, having 4 days to work and giving you an actual 3-day weekend will allow you the proper time to recharge so that when you return, you will actually be productive. But that's just me. I mean, I'm just saying.
That's a.
Oh, you go ahead.
That's a great point that I don't, y'all stop me when I start getting too crazy into the weeds. But the fact that you kind of hit on the fact that we've been conditioned to like overwork ourselves. We've been conditioned to kind of think that if you're not overworking, you're not hustling as hard as you can. And I mean, I don't think there's a mirror image any clearer than what that stems from. You know what I mean? Like the fact that some of our CEOs, CFOs, COOs, excuse me, are cool with the fact that workers are working themselves into an early grave. They're cool with the fact that, you know, we've already, and by we I mean like Black people specifically, have already been conditioned to believe that if you're not being productive in some sense, aka overworking, you are not living up to your full potential or your full value. And that's just not the case. And that's kind of what I meant by until we realize and internalize that that's not true, like as a unit, I feel like we're going to close so many doors on ourselves, including things like, you know, salary negotiations, including things like relevant experience. Like there's always going to be a loophole where it's like, okay, I mean, you can decide you don't want to do it my way, but if you don't do it my way, you know what I mean? And I feel like, and that's a trauma response, in my opinion. So a lot of people say it's not always our fault, but it's our responsibility. I feel like this is one of those things where it's like, you know, it's not our fault that we're so low on the totem pole when it comes to things like these financial conversations or what the workforce looks like. But it's unfortunately, I feel like it's our responsibility to break those chains, those stereotypes, and things that have held us back for 400 plus years.
Why are they struggling to make the shift to become more knowledgeable about all these things that we're talking about, as far as finances?
I was gonna say, do you want me to call you Josh or Junie? I don't want to offend you.
We cool. You can call me Junie.
Okay.
My friends call me Junie. We stick with one, man. We got to get all over the place, Lord.
So, kind of like what Junie said, you said it's a trauma response, which is very true. If you've noticed, there's a lot of people, if you grew up severely poor or impoverished, they grow into these adults who overwork themselves to the point where they're extremely anxious or very depressed. They're having panic attacks and they really don't know why, because they're in this mindset of, I can never be poor again. What?
Oh, I'm just trying to, I'm listening. Oh.
So they're in this mindset like, I can never be poor again. I mean, look at the people within our community. You have your P. Diddy, and he's the person that comes to my head because he was that one that says hard work, no play kind of deal. Yeah. You know, you hustle hard. And he was impoverished. He came from little to nothing. And so I think that people like him have, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it. But they have made it seem like that's a normal thing to basically overwork yourself, because if you don't do this, then you will be poor. But the crazy thing is, the higher up you go on in the chain of any corporation, the less you work.
Yeah, the less you work.
And so it's crazy that we have this mindset of like, if I work hard, work hard, work hard. No, because further up you move up this chain, if you're a supervisor, you can kick back and relax. I'm not saying that you don't work, but a lot of the work is being done by those people who are on the ground, not the people who are CEOs, COOs, and you know, so forth and so on.
We've kind of trapped them into a kind of a corner, if you will, because now they're at a position where everyone on this call is you know, has some type of higher education. So we're trapping kind of those bigger names in the companies, those CEOs, COOs, into a position where it's like this new generation of workers is just as educated, if not more, than they are or than they have been. We realize our worth, we realize our value. So a lot of these, bigger companies have gotten used to the lower level employees settling, not because they think they're settling, but because they think that's what they're worth. So when you take an employee who you're saying has to start at the lower level due to lack of experience or due to age or where they are in their career, what you're really saying is, if you accept this position, I'm going to pay you less than what you're worth and hope that you don't realize it. And the problem is we're realizing it now. In reference to P. Diddy, making it seem like it's normal to overwork, from his point of view, and I can attest to it, it probably was his normal. Like, it probably wasn't just like, I'm going to make it seem like this is what is the standard, because to him, it might have been, and I'm having to unlearn that now. You know what I mean? I take my PTO days for absolutely no reason at all. You know what I mean? I take PTO and I sit on that couch, you know what I'm saying? Just because I should.
An issue like you brought it up, and I'm gonna speak about it because you brought it up indirectly. Like, a lot of people, when they get on these jobs, they're like, I'm gonna work myself to the bone so I can move up, make more money, do this, and do this. But then you got some jobs, it don't matter how good you are at your job, you're not ever gonna get paid the amount you should get paid. You know what I'm saying? And that's probably at most jobs, but there are certain specific jobs that you could be the best at what you do, and your pay will never come close to what you're supposed to get.
Yeah.
But it's just that, and that's another thing that, people got to realize. It's like, they think, oh, I'm going to be here 20 years, 15, 20 years, and I'm going to get what I deserve at the end. Pause. You need to realize that this job is not your friend. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand that you got to protect yourself too at the same time, as far as your mental, you know what I'm saying? And everything you got going on personally. Like, a lot of people get, I can speak from experience. Like, I'm a workaholic. Yes, I have a problem. I've been told I've been a perfectionist. I always try to do the best that I can at certain things. But, you know what I'm saying? I've been conditioned, Yes, of course, I've been conditioned. But, yeah, I mean, that's a big thing. A lot of people have different things that drive them, but at the same time, you got to step back and realize that in the workforce and in this arena, you got to step back and take time for yourself, because everybody needs to understand, everybody can't be rich.
And everybody's replaceable. You quit that job today, your position is posted the next morning. Trust and believe.
I like to think about it like a Subway sandwich. You know what I mean? Like, you go to Subway. Nah, for real.
I gotta hit it. Let me hit a sandwich, big dog.
Check me out. So, and this is kind of like an ongoing joke on social media with Subway in general, but like, you go to Subway, you go through the line, you start with your bread, you tell them your meat, you put your lettuces or whatever and your condiments. You literally sit there and you watch them make your sub. So by the time they get to the point where they're wrapping your sandwich up, if you're not satisfied with the sandwich they wrap, that's on you. So, in a sense, that's how I kind of look at what we call the job market. You know what I mean? Like, if you bring a certain thing to the table, and you've done your research and you know what the typical compensation for a certain job should be, and then you bring that all together and you're ready for that negotiation talk, and they bring something to you, they bring a sandwich to you that ain't how you laid it out on the counter, whether you tell them to remake that sandwich. You know what I mean? Like, you don't sit there and buy, because at the end of the day, you're going to buy the sandwich. You're going to spend money on that sandwich. When you relate that to the job, you're going to spend time at that job. You're going to have emotional attachment to that job. So at a certain point, it gets to a point where you realize, I control this a lot more than I think I do.
I feel that. That's just like, if that service is bad, you know what I'm saying? Why they making that sandwich? And they talking to you crazy. You gonna turn up? You gonna turn up? You go, hey, now, I'm gonna need you to correct yourself. Ain't that right, Dash? Yeah.
I would not do such thing, but I was going to say, I think that's why sometimes it's important to move up the ladder, especially when you look like us, because sometimes as an employee, you don't have a lot to say. You can kick, scream, yell, but it's not really going to change many things. I mean, these companies who have high turnover rates, trust me, it's not their first time hearing these complaints. It's not. But when you know how this position could be made easier or more efficient and you move up the ladder, then you get to make some things move, in my opinion. And that's if you choose to stick it out. I mean, I was with the agency when I first got out of grad school. It was terrible. And I'm not going to name them. It was terrible.
Yeah. Worry about it.
At first I thought, maybe I could move up and become a supervisor. But then I was like, I don't want to supervise somebody in this role and set them up for the okie doke because this position sucks. Now, was the pay good? Yeah. but it wasn't worth my mental health. It truly was not. I was getting calls from kids running away at midnight on a Sunday. No, that's not what we about to do. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and head out to a different job that better fits my life. But yeah, I feel like we have to move up in order to actually be heard, unfortunately.
Yeah, because the jobs I've been on, it's like you go to these jobs and then when you get in there, you hear about these people that have been there 15 to 20 years and they're complaining about over the years, all this stuff has been wrong, it's going wrong. And the first thing that instantly pops in my mind, because a lot of people go, let me mind my business. Let me mind my business. It's just like, why haven't you said anything? You just gonna sit there and just continually just be told craziness?
I think the older generations go along to get along. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Say what you were saying just now?
I said, I think kind of like to Junie's point, I think older generations just go along to get along. Whereas millennials, we're like, listen, y'all don't check my boxes. Peace out.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah, this generation quit a job like it's nothing and start something new the next day. Like, but it's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time.
Yes.
Because it's good because you're like, okay, I know this isn't a good place for me, so I'm gonna go find me something better. The bad thing is that something better may not be better than what you just left.
And also, it doesn't look great on your resume.
True. Yeah, that's another thing. But see, it's really jacked up. They tell you to go to school. You go to school. You have a good job waiting for you and get out.
Right.
No, sir. No, sir. You need 10 years experience at this position in order for you to get this job. And it's like, what?
Some of these jobs will try to pay you. Some of these jobs will try to pay you $30,000 with a master's degree. If y'all don't go somewhere, sit down.
I'm telling you,
like, I think the rules are changing as we progress, which is the craziest thing. That's the craziest part. It's like Black people started getting masters. Now a master's degree isn't worth what it was worth 10 years ago.
Okay.
Black people started earning higher management roles, and now, there's other roles being created even higher to keep,
yes,
people at a certain level. Like, I feel like the rules are changing. So even I think the way we think about everything has to change with it. Like, even something as simple as like a resume. Like, yeah, they told me it's not gonna look good on my resume. They also told me that I need to get a master's degree, and then they told me that my master's degree was worth $30,000. Like, I have to change with the times, because everything that's being done from like a corporate level is being done strategically to put us at the back of the line again.
I agree. And then we also hurt ourselves when we, unfortunately, I'm gonna say it because somebody needs to say it. We give our kids these names that are just like, oh, I can tell that you are a minority. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna slide this over here. Yeah, it happens. We know. Right. We know what happens. Don't act like that, Dash. You know what I'm
talking about. I mean, your name is JStan Stanley.
Oh, yeah.
You don't understand the pain.
I'm not. Let me stop, because you about to get me in trouble on this here podcast. But you know what I mean.
I don't know about that one, boss. I don't know about that one.
I don't know, man. It's just that. I mean, my main thing is this: people like the sad reality is this. Most people that are in the hiring process, a lot of people like to hire people that look like them, essentially.
Yeah.
And let's go to your part where you said that a lot of us as Black people need to try to move up in these companies and get in positions that have say so, or actually can, you know, make a difference in the landscape of whatever company that is being they're working for. And what happens is it's just like, you know, a lot of these hiring managers like to hire people that look like them. And the people that are in these positions are predominantly Caucasian for the most part. It's starting to change now, but, you know, for all these years, it's been, you know what I'm saying? It's been like that. And it's just starting to shift.
That's a slippery slope, though, because, you know, it starts with us renaming our kids, and then they get in those positions, and then you're expected to talk like them. And then you're expected to laugh at their jokes. And then you're expected to go along with their microaggressions. At some point, we have to stop adapting to their culture. You know what I mean? Like, why shouldn't somebody with the name Dashia be looked at the same as somebody with the name JStan if they have the exact same credentials? You're absolutely right, JStan, in that those white people are going to see that. They're going to be more comfortable with people that look like them, sound like them, share the same name as them. But that's exactly my point. We need to break their comfortability. Like, that's no longer my concern. That's no longer going to pay our bills. We don't rely on them to fund our lifestyles. So I realize that they're still in places of power, and I don't think it's going to happen overnight by any means. But I think we stick to what we believe, which is that I should be able to give my kids names that have ethnic value. I should be able to raise my children the way I want to, and still trust that they're going to be afforded the same opportunities that they deserve. Will that always be their reality while we're climbing this mountain? No, it won't. But when we start settling, compromising just to get by, we're just a revamped version of the previous generation. How do y'all feel in that sense when it comes to the work that it takes to get to that level? Because we started this conversation talking about overworking, overproductivity, how it's, you know, detrimental sometimes to your mental health, sometimes your physical health. Where do you feel the divide is when it comes to, like, where do we draw the line when it's like, okay, well, if you want to climb the ladder, I need you to go twice as hard as you go. Like, if that's what's laid out, I mean, where do we kind of draw that line in y'all's opinion?
Okay. I think that's based on the person, to be honest. I think that you have to be able to determine what do you have the bandwidth to do. Going back to that first job that I had, I started to notice that people who were moving into supervisor roles were white. And here's the thing. They were there, they got there the same time I did, and they were called MSWs, which means that you have your master's degree in social work. However, I am an LMSW, meaning I am licensed, meaning I can give therapy, right? And this is not me trying to flex, but this is me making a point. It was those girls who came the same time I did, who I'm licensed, they're not, but they were moving into supervisor roles. And mind you, this is a pretty big agency, and there's a lot of white people, and it was like maybe me and 4 other Black people in general in this agency. Now, I was like, well, what is it that they're doing that I'm not doing? And they were like, oh, well, she's going by the house when because I had to meet with families 3 times a week. And so if the parents weren't answering, she would then go to their house, knock on the door, do drive-bys, all this other craziness. And I was like, listen, I'm not going to beg you to get treatment. I can check in with you, but I'm not going to beg you to, because that's not the type of therapeutic relationship I want to build. So all that being said, the things that one person was doing to get into that position, I wasn't willing to do, because that goes against what I want for myself professionally. So if you don't have the bandwidth to do it, and it's not something that you even agree with, I would say either continue in your position or leave and go somewhere who actually values you.
Yeah, you know, change is hard for a lot of people when it comes to that aspect, but I completely agree. You know, if you so-called are unhappy, you should try to find something new.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
But circumstances do play a role, dude. I do understand that too. A lot of people's situations are different. A lot of people got a lot more responsibilities and a lot of things that they got to get done.
Going even further, a lot of people have chosen to leave their jobs during this pandemic and create their own things. And now you have this influx of entrepreneurs. And so that kind of also with this topic is like, why are people falling, I don't want to say victim, but falling victim to these get rich quick schemes? Because I think during this pandemic, I got so many DMs and calls about doing investments, Forex. That's what it was, Forex. Like, you thought about this? You have a computer, you can make this amount of money. I was just like, okay, I don't know y'all. And this seems like a lot, this seems like it's a scheme. So why is it that you think people are falling victim to that?
Forex in general isn't a scam at all. But when somebody's trying to capitalize off of a webinar or teaching you something that you can YouTube or Google,
that's the one. Yeah.
That's the scam. I mean, it's true that, like Forex is one of the biggest exchange, or if not the biggest exchange market in the world, but it's like, I can Google that. And I do believe we need more Black-owned businesses. And I do believe entrepreneurship is a very commendable task, but like, that's not everybody's, that's not everybody's line of work. You know what I mean? Like anybody could sell you an apple or an orange, but that doesn't mean they're meant to sell you an apple or an orange. I do offer financial consulting services and budgeting in addition to my 9 to 5, but I do that because it's something I care about. I do that because it's something that I have ties to. Like I work to assist the community that I came out of. Like I know that when I was in some of those impoverished neighborhoods, there weren't people like me giving back to the community that wasn't like slapping your head for crazy amounts of money. You know what I mean? Like I do stuff like that because I'm good at it and because I see a need for it in the community. But those get rich quick schemes are, if anything, they're more detrimental to our community, I think, than helpful.
Conversation with my father yesterday. We basically talked about how back then, not even that long ago, maybe 10 to 15 years ago, you'd have people come together to work on things, like, for instance, work on each other's houses to help fix stuff and all this. And they wouldn't want any monetary value. All they would be like, okay, I'll help you. I just, you buy them something to eat. They would do that. They'd make it work. It's so different now. It's like everybody is so, the best word is cutthroat, direct. And this, you know what I'm saying? Like, and as far as the get rich quick schemes go, everybody is, everybody has that dream. They hear about these stories where, oh yeah, somebody came up overnight, ran into all this money, came up with something so simple. But a lot of people got to understand, everybody can't be on top because people have to be working in order for that person at the top to even exist. Now, the issue is everybody wants to be the chief, like I said in the last episode, but we don't want no Indians. Nobody wants to be an Indian. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with being an Indian, because at some point or another, you may become a chief. There's a possibility. Anything is possible. But everybody doesn't have those attributes to be in charge. Everybody, for some strange reason or another, everybody is doing the same thing as far as the aspect of either I'm gonna sell hair, and you got a friend that sells hair too. I'm gonna do lashes. You got a friend that does lashes. Why don't y'all work together? Bring y'all clientele together.
Yeah.
But it's like, nah, I need that. It's mine. It's me. I got to be the CEO. But it's 5 of y'all in the same area. Nobody wins.
I think it's two things. So one of the things, as far as the get rich quick schemes, instant gratification. We are in a world where you have Uber Eats, you have DoorDash, you can go to Instagram and be entertained. If a movie comes out, you don't even have to go to the movie theater anymore. It's on that
microwave generation. That's what they call it, the microwave generation.
Yeah, I think we lack patience and we don't appreciate the process. I think we had posted on Instagram, right? We don't appreciate the process. We just want to get there. So I think that's why a lot of times people are just like, listen, I need to happen like yesterday. And that's just not life. Anything that's worth having, you have to work for. That's just life. As far as the everybody wanted to be in charge, or like not helping one another out. I'm going to say this, but I don't even know that I agree with it. Maybe we've lost a sense of community.
Yeah.
Because a couple of years ago, I went to Ghana, and they are very much about community. Someone could be on the side of the road. No one has to flag someone else down. They automatically pull over, help them out. All right, you good. And they keep it moving. Everyone knows each other within the community, and they help each other out no one has to ask. That's what I'm saying. Like, you just step into that role and do it. But on the flip side of that, we're saying we want more Black businesses. And then when people put out their prices, they're like, y'all charging too much. I'm not doing all of that. Well, it's a service, correct? In order for them to provide a service or a product, they need money. So the fact that people complain about Black business owners' prices, that's not helping them out. That's not a sense of community. So it's like, I feel like we do stick together, but at the same time, we can be lacking when it comes to business, in my opinion.
Yep. And that goes both ways. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I think Black America is hurt. We are hurt right now. Like, I think we've kind of adopted the crab in a barrel mentality. But as far as the Black businesses go, I mean, that goes both ways. As far as like a lot of people complaining about prices, well, there are also businesses out there that aren't producing the type of customer service that you would expect from any other corresponding business. They're also, different things. I don't want to say anything that's like anti-Black, but there are different.
I don't want to say anything anti-Black. I mean, it's not really anti-Black if it's the truth. That's the way I look at it, because you know what I'm saying. If it is what it is that. Just say it. It's
like almost to the point where with certain Black businesses, I feel like there's something you're going to have to sacrifice to uplift the community. I've had several different run-ins where it's like, money good. I'm straight. My money's straight. You're going to get what you charge me for. You know what I mean? So now that the ball's in your court, what can you give me that would like prompt me not to take my business elsewhere? Just from a service standpoint, not even from like our community in general, but it's like, well, if I'm going to pay the same amount for something and my customer service isn't going to be up to par and my wait time is going to be longer and I'm going to have to deal with what I consider unprofessionalism at times, you know what I'm saying? It's like, well, at what point do I stop sacrificing for the community? Like, if I'm not getting reimbursed by the community that I'm investing in, you know what I mean? It's like, and sometimes I feel like that sacrifice is necessary because the bigger picture is us, and I get that. And even with some of the examples I brought up, wait times, they're short staffed. Poor customer service. I mean, they could be having a rough day that day or whatever, but it's like, sometimes I don't want to hear that if it's my money. You know what I mean? Sometimes, because I wouldn't tolerate it at a non-Black business. Like, I agree that Black America just needs to kind of take a page out of some of our neighboring Black, communities and just figure out how to come together.
I mean, you don't see people walking into the Louis Vuitton store or the Gucci store. Hey, man, that's a little bit too much. You think you can take a little something off? No, you don't do that in there. The price is the price. You knew what it was as soon as you walked through the door. But for some strange reason, when a Black person walks in, be like, oh, this your place. So what's up with a deal, man? Y'all running any deals? No, we're not running no deals. See these prices? What the problem is?
I must say though, I'm trying to think through all of the Black businesses I've like patronized or whatever. I've had really good experiences. However, the times where you're talking about that customer service that's lacking, it's always somebody braiding hair. I've never had a poor experience when it comes to like Black restaurants. There's a place,
them hairdressers about to come for you.
Well, that's fine. Come for me. But like, there's an ice cream shop in Park Circle in Charleston, Park Circle Creamery, I think. It is so good. Please go there. It's Black owned. They are lovely. As soon as you walk in, everything is homemade, even the waffle cones. There's a place I went to in Atlanta here, the Gullah Kitchen. They're fantastic. 2 examples, I had great experiences there. However, when it comes to y'all hair braiders, some of y'all want to push the time back. Oh, girl, I sleep. Come back tomorrow. Oh, girls, you want me to pay this amount, pay for the hair, and on top of that, now they're doing this new thing. I didn't know about this. They're doing this new thing now where you have to come with your hair already washed and parted. Ma'am, what am I paying you for?
Yeah, I'm saying, and then the price already be high, bro. So the price of beauty.
That ties into exactly what we were saying earlier, though, because like even with your example with the ice cream shop, right? An ice cream shop, a restaurant in general, obviously the Black community needs to support it. You know what I'm saying? It's a Black-owned business, things like that. But at the end of the day, they're also going to want support from other ethnicities. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna depend on not just Black people, but they're gonna try to market to everyone in the community because they're gonna want to keep their business afloat. But someone like, you know, a barber or a hair braider or things of that nature, their entire target audience is people with the type of hair that they're qualified to, you know, to do. So then it becomes, well, I know you need, from the barber or the hairdresser standpoint, it's, I know you need me. I know you're not going to go to someone else who doesn't look like me to do your hair. So how can I capitalize as much off of you as I can? And that mentality,
I never considered that.
It's got to go. Like,
it's not all barbers and hairdressers. I must say, I have had good experiences with hair braiders and hairdressers. It's just those special few that I'm like, okay, girl. But anyway,
you may be you more than likely have a better life right now than that person that has all this money. Now, hear me out. I know a lot of people will be like, I'd rather cry in $100,000 car than my car, whatever car you got. Yeah, that's all nice and dandy. I understand. But you just got to put things into perspective and understand that everybody that has money, and most people who even say they have money, aren't happy.
Yeah. Money buys comfortability, not necessarily coldness.
Like the way I view working, I've kind of changed my entire perception and reality of working. Like, I don't want to say since the pandemic, but just over the last few years in general in my life. Like, I saw a tweet recently that pretty much said every job, whether you have one job or a couple, should be viewed as like a side hustle. Like, and here's what they meant in that. Your job, in my opinion, and this is how I view my workspace, I don't view it as a part of my identity at all. Yes. If I meet a new person, and I think this is something we've kind of been conditioned to do, but if I meet a new person that I've never chatted with before, and they ask me about myself, I think a lot of times the very first thing we're conditioned to do is tell them who we work for, what our badge says at work or something like that. And I've gotten into the habit of like removing my job from my identity at all, because it's not who I am. You know what I mean? I'm a brother, I'm a cousin, I'm a son, I care about my community. Those are the things that make up who I am. I agree that different jobs are different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't take away the passion that, some people have for what they do. That's very relevant. You know what I mean? And I can't take that away from anyone. But I feel like a lot of times, especially like young Black people, as soon as you get to high school, it's find out what you're passionate about doing. Find out what it is you want to do for the rest of your life that you would be willing to work. You know what I mean? And it's like, you go on that search, and what happens if you don't find something that you're passionate about working 5 days a week, 8 hours a day to do? You know what I mean? Like, well, then are you valueless or purposeless?
Yeah, most definitely. Because a lot of people Because who's to say that all of a sudden that job doesn't need you the next day you go to work? Now all of a sudden, who am I? So what do you mean, who are you?
Yeah.
But yeah, I completely agree. Having your identity personally for yourself and your job need to be separated. But people tend to struggle with that.
Yeah, and I liked everything you said. I'm still processing it, to be honest. I think that we use our jobs as a status symbol, to be honest. And it's certain fields are very restricted. So, for instance, I work in social work and mental health. There are certain things that I cannot be caught on social media doing. Why? Because it's not going to look great. It's just not. If a parent saw my social media and said, "Oh, she at somebody's club doing X, Y, and Z," I'm just saying, like,
big days. The big.
They're not going to be comfortable with that. If you are somebody who's a preacher, most people don't want to see their preacher at the bar getting a drink. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain I wouldn't be offended, but hey, there's just certain jobs that restrict you and you are held to a certain standard. But then also, I think that certain positions are used as a status symbol. If you're a CEO, a supervisor, if you're in the medical field, or if it sounds nice, and you have a lot of letters after your name, then you go on social media and you flex. And you tell them, and you flex. I mean,
I agree, but at the same time, you know, an issue that we also have, and I'm not even just going to say it's in the Black community, but just in the world in general, is that 9 times out of 10, one of the first questions somebody will ask you if they're trying to figure out who you are is, where do you work at?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or if somebody that's interested in you, you're like, where do you work at?
Right.
And depending on the person, if you say a job that doesn't align
exactly
with something
that's what I mean.
Well, then
that's exactly what I mean.
As nothing in their mind.
Yeah, and to take it further, if you're a person in your 20s and you're dating, and you tell your family like, "Hey, I do this, but the person I'm interested in does this," they may be like, this don't match up. This don't match up. So you're exactly, that's what I mean. I think that if we remove that kind of status symbol and we're just all people doing jobs that we may or may not be passionate in, but it gets the bills paid, that's when we can start to do the real work of like unpacking it and saying, okay, who am I outside of this role from Monday through Friday or whatever your schedule is.
For sure. I got like a random question that kind of popped into my head, and I'd be interested to see what y'all think about this, because I think about this often. And we talked about how there's a need for more Black professionals in higher levels of management, because that'll kind of bust the door wide open, we think, for, you know, similar faces to follow. So my question is, like, scenario, we're all in higher levels of management, a position where you're responsible for, you know, recruiting, filling roles, you know, building a team to work under you. My question would be to you all, are you going to look purposely for, like, you know, Black candidates to fill the roles who may also have qualifications that you feel would be sufficient? Or are you going to be, a term that I hate, completely colorblind to the candidate pool and pull the people that on paper you believe are the most highly qualified?
You put all you want on a piece of paper, but if you don't interact well with people, like, you could have everything on your resume and everything. But my main thing, as far as if I were a hiring or recruiting manager in that type of role, I need to see how this person would handle, because that's why you get a lot of behavioral questions to see how somebody would handle it. But as far as me looking the other way, is like being like not paying attention, of course, no, I would definitely look into hiring more people that look like me. Yeah, I'll say it, because it's just like, the thing is this, I need to see that you are putting the effort in first, because your name is going to be tied to my name. That's my main thing. So if you're a hard worker and I can see that you're a hard worker, I have no issue doing that.
I agree. And I believe in nepotism. They do it. Why not us? Like, I mean, in short, I've actually been in a situation where I was a part of a recruitment team in a sense. In college, I was a part of a group called the Bottom Leader Program, and it's scholarship-based, social justice and service-based. And so we had to interview like 30 people, I want to say, to get about 5. Now, I was the only Black person in that room. And so you best believe, every time I saw a Black face come across that screen, I'm like, okay, well, these are my choices. These are my choices. Because I felt like it was needed. And the crazy thing is, the group that I was a part of was initially made for us. However, once those students left CFC and some other people came into play, that group went from being 10 Black kids to about, it's a group of 30 of us, so it's about 20 white kids and then 10 people of color. So going back to what I said, and I'm probably
gonna find a way.
I'm probably gonna leave that in actually. So all of that to say, yes, I believe in nepotism, because sometimes when people who don't look like us get into certain spaces, that's what they do. And the things that were meant for us are no longer for us.
I like it. I like it. You're preaching.
Big nation. Biggest. Gigantic.
That's like a whole, it's crazy. Like, that's like a whole separate tangent we could go into.
I
like,
know.
Our spaces not really being our spaces anymore. And
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I'm right there with y'all though. I just wanted to see what y'all thought about that.
I mean, this has been a great conversation. You have definitely given me some perspectives on things that I didn't even consider before. Justin.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, that's what he does. You know, he brings the insight. That's what I'm saying. That's what he does.
Appreciate you, my guy. My guy.
Well, leave us some comments. You know, let us know, what do you think about any of the things that we have discussed? Because there's been a lot of different questions thrown out there. I have been Dashia D.
And I've been JStan.
So join us every Friday at noon.
And always remember to like, comment, and subscribe.